What if the things you fear most aren't real threats, but misunderstandings? What if death isn't waiting to hurt you? The gods aren't watching to judge you, and the sky isn't sending you signs? And what if all that anxiety, the quiet, constant kind, comes from one simple mistake? Not understanding how the world actually works? Welcome to the Nerdjacker's Vault. Today, we are summarizing the letter to Herodotus by the Greek philosopher Epicurus. Epicurus doesn't begin like someone trying to impress you. He begins like someone trying to steady you. So he does not try to give Herodotus an ornate performance. He gives him a compact map, something small enough to carry in the mind, but strong enough to steady it when anxiety begins to rise. Because for Epicurus, physics is not just about matter. It is about freedom from terror. He starts at the beginning with a demand that sounds almost simple. Know what your words mean. If your terms are empty, your arguments can run forever without ever touching reality. So before asking what the world is, or what the gods are, or whether death should frighten us, we need to know what we are actually talking about. We need firm ground. We need sensation, feeling, direct experience, something that keeps thought from drifting into endless fog. From there, Epicurus opens the world with one of his central claims. Nothing comes from nothing, and nothing is dissolved into nothing. Things do not pop out of non-being by magic. And when they perish, they do not vanish into absolute non-existence. Beneath all appearance, there is a constant material basis. Something remains. So the universe, as he sees it, is made of two things, bodies and void. Matter and the space in which matter moves. Bodies are real because the senses testify to them. Void is real because without empty space, nothing could move at all. And once you accept that, the visible world begins to look different. It is no longer a stage built for divine drama. It is a field of motion. And beneath everything we see, Epicurus places the atoms, indivisible, solid, unchanging units of matter. They are too small to see, but they are necessary. If matter could be divided endlessly, then nothing would ever really hold together. Everything would collapse into conceptual dust. So there must be a limit, a smallest body that endures when compounds break apart. Then the vision expands. The universe is not small, closed, or centered around us. It is infinite. Infinite in bodies, infinite in void, infinite in worlds. Our world is not the only one. There are countless others, some like ours, some unlike it. That alone shifts something. We're not at the center of a design stage. We're part of a vast, ongoing process. And yet Epicurus is not trying to make the world feel cold. He is trying to make it intelligible. He explains perception almost like a strange invisible rain. Thin films or images stream constantly from the surfaces of things. These strike our senses and give rise to sight and thought. Hearing works through currents. Smell too. The world reaches us physically, not symbolically. Even error has a place in this system. Error begins when we rush in with interpretation, when we add conclusions that weren't actually given. Sensation gives us contact. Reason organizes what sensation gives. But once reason outruns experience and begins inventing fear, it becomes dangerous. That danger appears most clearly when he turns to the soul. The soul, he says, is not an immortal ghost trapped in the body. It is a material too fine, mobile, dispersed through the frame, bound up with warmth, breath, and a subtler element still. It gives life and sensation, but it does so as part of a living organism. When the body breaks apart, the soul is scattered. And once scattered, it no longer feels, remembers, or suffers. This is one of Epicurus' great acts of philosophical mercy. Death is not an experience waiting to ambush us. Death is the end of experience. We do not stand somewhere afterward to mourn our own extinction. The terror comes from imagination, not from death itself. And then he turns his gaze upward. The sky, the oldest factory of human fear. Eclipses, thunder, the movement of stars. People have treated these as messages, warnings, signs of divine will. Epicurus wants to break that spell, not by claiming to know every detail with absolute certainty, but by showing that natural explanations are enough. Why? Because his goal is not scientific vanity. His goal is peace. If an eclipse can happen by natural causes, then it is no omen. If thunder is natural, then it is not Zeus raging. If the heavens move without divine anger or favor, then we are freed from a whole architecture of dread. And this matters because Epicurus thinks human beings suffer less from pain itself than from interpretation. They fear punishment from the gods. They fear endless torment after death. They fear signs in the sky. They fear that the universe is watching them with moods, preferences, and wrath. He cuts at all of this directly. A blessed and immortal being, he says, would not be anxious, partial, angry, busy managing eclipses, or hurling punishments. Such traits belong to weakness, not divinity. To imagine the gods as offended rulers is not reverence. It is projection. So the real work of understanding nature is ethical. Learn how things happen, and you remove the poison added by myth. Learn what the soul is, and death loses its fangs. Learn that the heavens are not issuing private messages to mankind, and a great layer of panic falls away. That is why this letter feels less like abstract cosmology and more like a rescue operation. He is trying to clear the human mind. He is trying to strip the universe of unnecessary terror. And at the center of all, this is a deeply practical hope, not by knowing every detail, but by knowing enough of the structure to keep fear from taking over. So what Epicurus offers Herodotus is not merely a summary of nature. It is a discipline of clarity. The world is made of matter and void. Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing vanishes into nothing. The soul is material. Death is not to be feared. The heavens are not divine threats. Nature has causes. And once the mind learns to rest in that, tranquility becomes possible. Not because life becomes easy, but because the universe stops feeling like a trap. That's all for today. Please subscribe if you want more contents like this. For the full audiobook, please check the link in the description.